Dear chess friends, this is MVP bringing you the first chapter of my international chess course. It is now about the D3 system, and in this chapter we will talk about the position that arises after E4, C6, D3, D5, knight D2, E5, knight Ngf3, bishop D6, and white has an interesting possibility D4. The other possibilities would be described in the next chapter. So black must play e takes d4, and after e takes d5 the best continuation for black is just to develop the pieces. It is knight f6. Of course here knight d4, knight d5 is just an absolutely equal position, so the more principled continuation is d takes c6 and knight takes c6. And here black has a bad isolated d4 pawn, but if we know that when you have such pawns you must play very actively or your position would be much worse. Here white has a lot of possibilities. The first one is bishop b5, castles, a6, bishop takes c6, b takes c6, and here knight d4 is not a very good choice because black has bishop h2, king take h2, queen takes d4, and white king can be attacked, so black has a slight advantage. And better move is knight c4, but then c5. The black's idea is bishop c7. So white can play b4, and the position is completely equal because on b4 white takes the bishop on d6, then takes the pawn on d4, and it's two equal position actually. The other possibility of white is knight b3, attacking the d4 pawn. Of course, black immediately plays bishop g4, bishop e2, and here they can use the fact that they can give a check. Bishop b4, bishop d2, bishop d2, queen takes d2, castle kingside, rook e8. Of course, the d4 pawn is a weakness here. But black are now attacking the bishop on e2, h3, bishop h5, rook f1, white protected the bishop, queen b6, connecting rooks, knight g5, bishop takes e2, rook takes e2. White has done something because black has now really weakness, but the b pawn is also weakness. a5, a4, h6, rook e8, knight e8, knight f3, knight d8. And unfortunately for white, they can't do much about the d4 pawn. Now the black knight comes to c7 in the 6, and white can take the d4 pawn because the b2 pawn is big, and the a4 pawn is also weak, so the position is more or less equal here. The most popular continuation for white is bishop e2. Then black, of course, castles, and here, of course, black must find the target, and it is a c2 pawn, so bishop f5 is a very good move. Knight b3, of course, attacking the d4 pawn. It seems that white is already winning this pawn, but black can play queen c7, attacking the h2 pawn, and it is a critical position of this chapter. White has a lot of possibilities here. The first one is bishop g5, attacking the knight, but black plays knight e4. Of course, bishop d3 is not very good because knight take g5, knight take g5, bishop h2, king h1, and black has moved bishop f4. Bishop takes f5, bishop takes g5, knight d4, rook a d8, queen f5, queen h5, g6, we take g5, knight d4, bishop d3, knight takes c2, and black is a pawn up, so they get better position. The other possibility for white is knight b takes d4, but then knight takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes g5, knight takes f5, bishop takes h2, king h1, bishop e5, and due to white's opened king, black has a slight advantage. So, of course, the main continuation is bishop h4, but then rook f e8 comes, knight b d4. Of course, king h1 is possible, but it gives black a chance to do some tactical trick. It's bishop a3, queen c1. Of course, the bishop can be taken due to knight c3, and bishop c5, knight c5, knight c5, rook e1, queen b6, b3, and now black has a tactical move against queen g5, h6, queen f4, d3, c takes d3, bishop d3, bishop d3, knight takes d3, rook 8, queen d2, queen b5. Now white has no advantage of a pair of bishops, and the queen side is weak, so the position is more or less equal, but I think that black has even slight advantage here. So knight b d4, the main move, knight takes d4, and here already in the game before, between two players with normal rating, Yermito against Labalita Buenos Aires 2013, it was played queen takes d4, and it is already decided mistakes due to tactical strike g5, and white is losing the light piece. For example, knight g5, knight g5, bishop g5, rook takes e2, and the black has a decisive material advantage. So the better move was knight takes d4, but then the h2 pawn falls, king h1, and black has a move bishop d7, and unfortunately white can't win the black's h2 bishop, because on g3 black can play g5, and white has to play bishop f3, bishop f4, queen d3, knight d2, rook f d1, knight f3, queen f3, bishop e5, and black has a pair of bishop advantage and good perspectives to attack the white's king. So this continuation bishop g5 gives white nothing. The other possibility is knight b takes d4. Of course, it has a drawback due to h2 pawn weakness. Knight takes d4. If queen takes d4, then bishop c2, and if knight takes d4, then bishop h2, king h1, bishop e4 with advantage black. Next white possibility is h3. Of course, we saw that the h2 pawn was a problem with all the variations, but here black can attack the c2 pawn, knight b4. Here already white has to play a novelty, bishop d3, knight takes d3, c takes d3, and now the position is scary for black, because they are losing the d4 pawn, but fortunately they play queen d7 with the idea of taking the pawn on h3. Knight b d4 is a bad move due to bishop h3, and black has an attack, and knight fd4 is a draw after bishop takes h3, g takes h3, queen takes h3, f4, queen g3, and the perpetual check. So this is the one forced draw in this variation. The other more or less drawish line is a3 because here white made the prophylactics against knight b4 move, and then they want to play h3 on the next move. h6. We don't want that white could play bishop g5, so make such prophylactics. Of course, knight bd4 is bad because the h2 pawn is taken, so white must play h3, rook a8, knight bd4, knight d4, knight d4. White won the pawn, but black has a good piece activity. Bishop e5, c3, queen b6, and here in a practical game, of course, white can have big problems, but computer shows nice maneuver. Bishop f3, bishop takes d4, c takes d4, rook takes d4, and queen a1. It's a very good move. Now it's only an equal position in the end. Bishop d3, bishop e3, bishop takes f1, queen takes f1, queen takes b2, b1, queen c3, bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, rook b7, rook c8, and this endgame is equal. Black must exchange the rooks, and as we know, queen and knight are slightly better than queen and bishop, but in such position with so low pawns, the position looks like a draw. So let's make a conclusion about this chapter. It's very uncommon in Caro-Kann that black are playing with the isolated pawn, and this time even not pawn d5 but pawn d4. White wants to win, of course, this pawn, but black doesn't protect the Isolania. They create threats on the c2 pawn, on the h2 pawn, and as we saw, the rising positions are equal. So this is slightly boring line to play for black, but white has no advantage here. Thanks you for watching this video to the end. If you like it, you can consider leaving a like, and see you next time.